Alright, so in this video, I'm going to go through the responsibility we have as salespeople. Alright, and this is a lesson that I constantly remind my sales team of. So right now I manage 10 sales reps and I remind them of this all the time. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you guys two stories. The first one is how I actually got into this space. So I was like any 20-year-old back in 2023. Back in 2023. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to go through the responsibility we have as salespeople. And this is a lesson that I constantly remind myself of, but also remind my team that I manage. So right now I manage 10 sales reps and I tell them this all the time. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys two stories. The first one is how I actually got into this space from the beginning. And it was a little bit more than 2 years ago. I was 20 years old, and like any other 20-year-old guy, I wanted to be successful. I had all of these big dreams, and I wanted to achieve my dream life. And then I just stumbled upon a social media marketing agency program. I didn't know anything about it at first, but it looked promising. I looked at the testimonials, and I saw 20-year-old guys just making 10K a month. And that was unheard of for me. So I thought, why not just jump on a call? I booked a call, I jumped on the call, and it was nervous. It was nerve-wracking, you know. And I got on with the closer. The closer was doing a great job. I had some objections, and he handled them. And I actually got signed then and there, you know. So I started a program. And the thing is, I had a lot of objections. I had a lot of nervousness, but the closer handled them. And today I'm actually a good friend of that closer that closed me 2 years ago. And we have spoken about that. And he told me that I was nervous, that I had these objections. And it got me thinking, what would have happened if he wouldn't have closed me? What would have happened if he didn't just show up with the energy that he had? What would have happened if he wouldn't have done all of that sales training beforehand to get better at handling objections? What would have happened if he would have just disqualified me because I was just a 20-year-old guy with a part-time job that didn't have that much money? What would have happened then, right? Where would I have been today? And I'm forever grateful for that closer that closed me that day. But I need to constantly remind myself that if he wouldn't have been where he was right there, then I wouldn't be where I am today, okay? And the second story I want to tell you guys is actually a few months into that program. I started my own social media marketing agency and I started getting clients myself. And I remember there was one sales call I had, okay? And I remember that we spoke on the phone. I booked a sales meeting with him on Google Meets. And I remember he had a lot of pain. He was not in a good place because he didn't get any jobs for his roofing company, all right? And that was exactly what I was gonna help him out with, okay? But he didn't get any jobs. And at that time, I remember I didn't manage to close him. Even though he had so much pain, even though he was so frustrated, I didn't manage to close him. But I didn't think that much about it at the time. You know, I had more calls, I had a few clients, didn't matter that much to me. But then a year later, when I was really into sales, and then I just got a message from a random number, and I looked at the history from the number, and I could tell that this is probably a potential client that I was in contact with when I ran my agency. And then things started clicking. That was this guy that had so much pain, that had so much frustration in him. You know, he had messaged me, and what he wrote was, it was pretty heartbreaking, to be honest. He told me that he was in a worse situation, that he didn't have any jobs, and it was a very bad financial spot. And he came to me begging for my services. It was like a free close, all right? But I didn't run my agency anymore. But he kept begging me, can't you do anything for me? And I said, no, I don't run it anymore. But okay, do you know anyone who does it? And like, even though it was just a text message, I could tell by the way he wrote that he was not in a good spot. All right, because he kept asking, it was like desperation. And then I thought to myself, if I would have been better 1 year ago, if I would have been showing up to that call better, if I would have just given my all on that call a year before, where could he have been today? All right, I could have helped him. I could have changed his life. But I didn't, and that is my responsibility. That is because of me. If I would have been just a little bit better at closing, I would have changed his life, but I didn't, right? And then I let him be in that situation for a year longer. And then it hit me that the responsibility that we have as sales reps is so big. We have such an opportunity to have a big impact on people's lives. Okay, so what I constantly tell my sales team is that we always have to show up with 110% energy. We have to show up the best we can. And it's your responsibility. It's not only when you work, you have to show up outside of work, because who you're on the sales calls is who you're outside of the sales calls. So if you keep slacking with just not working out, not having a good sleep routine, not with a diet, all right, then that's going to reflect on your sales calls. And I constantly remind my team of this because we have such an impact. Because the thing is, we could have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 calls each day. Okay, so if one call doesn't really go the way we want it to, that's fine. That's completely fine for us. But that could be the prospect's one and only call. That could be the closest they ever are to making a change in their life. And then they could just go down, right? Maybe they're never gonna jump on a call after that, right? So it could be their one opportunity, but it could be like we have an abundance of sales calls, so we don't really need it. We don't need the commissions from it, but they need a change in their life. So, like I constantly say, it's our responsibility to actually show up the best we can as sales reps, so that we can actually help people make a change in their life. Because if the closer that closed me 2 years ago wouldn't have done that, I would have been on a completely different place right now, okay? If I would have done that when I was on the sales call with the potential client from agency, then he would have been on a completely different path in his life. But he isn't, all right? So just want to get this out of me so you guys can really understand the responsibility we have as sales reps. So if this helped you, please like and subscribe.